Okay. So hello to my friends and colleagues at Extended Family, and congratulations for your third year in I Choose Dignity. So you may be wondering what I, in my role as the Executive Director for the Crime Prevention Council, am doing in an I Choose Dignity rally. And I wanted to share with my community that when we choose dignity, it is one of the best crime prevention tools that we possibly could have. So let me explain that to you a little bit. As you can hear from my accent, I'm German. So sometimes when I try to understand a word, I translate it back into my mother tongue. So in German, dignity is Würde. And the second I kind of said that to myself, I had a sense of the emotion behind what dignity is. So Würde is something, you know, where you stand tall, your chin is up, you look people in the eye. You know, you have a place in the universe, you have a right to be there, and you say to other people, you have a right to be here just as much as me. So that's kind of what dignity, I think, is all about, knowing that we all matter, that our community is richer for everybody that is within it. And that got me thinking about the people that don't stand tall, where their shoulders are not back and their eyes are cast down, that I encounter in my community. And so here are some of the people that I have seen that in. I have seen it with people who are asking for change outside the store. Their eyes tend to be cast down. In fact, I've been in situations where the same person, as I come back out the store, is asking me for change again. Because what they saw was my hand giving them the change, but they actually didn't register me. They didn't look at me. I've seen it with people who have problematic substance use issues, because we tend to judge that as an individual failing. Like, what's wrong with you? Pull up your socks, get on with it. I've seen it with people with mental health issues many, many times. I often remember somebody that I worked in a counseling relationship with many years ago, before I actually came to Canada, whom I had counseling sessions with for 2 months on a regular basis, and it took him 2 months to look at me. And the reason why he didn't want to look at me is because he was afraid what he might see in my eyes, and that what he might see in my eyes is the sense of being judged, of being told you're different, you don't belong, there's something wrong with you. I've seen it also with people in jails, and I think we often forget that in Waterloo region, as in many communities across the country, we have a jail. And there's people inside of those jails. And I've seen them with their eyes cast down, or sometimes when they feel that their dignity has taken away from them, it's not so much that their eyes are cast down, but they give you that aggressive stare, which I think is another way of people protecting themselves from what they don't want to see in their fellow human beings, which is about judgment, and you're not worthy, and I don't respect you. And then finally, most recently, I've seen it when we had a street gang prevention project and some of our young people, and that's probably the most troublesome for me, because I know it's a bit of a truism, but youth are our future. And so when at a young age people feel they don't belong and they're not respected and their dignity is questioned, it has dire consequences for the vitality of our community now and in the long run. So I think dignity is a bit like food and shelter. It is an essential part of being human. It is not something that can or ever should be taken away from us, but many of us experience a sense of it being taken away from us. And sometimes what ends up happening is that this happens to particularly people at the margins, and then our response to that is to marginalize them even further. So before I get to the positive part, which I want to get to, and what we can do with that knowledge, is I just wanted to remind us that, jails is a message to people. That is, you don't belong here. You belong inside because you've done something wrong. Solitary confinement within a jail says you don't even belong within the general population of a jail. So imagine a human being kind of going through that experience. It's the extreme of what we can do to each other as human beings as a result of feeling that you are different and you don't belong. notwithstanding that they may have made mistakes and there need to be consequences, the way we have chosen to deal with those consequences, I think, says a lot about us more than about the people. So I have this dream that maybe one day in our community and communities across Canada, jails will be places of historic curiosity. You know, a place that we look at and go, yeah, we really used to deal with human failings this way. And I think we can get there. It might seem really unreasonable to suggest this, but I think we can get there if we guarantee three things in the lives of all people in our community, because everybody really matters. And that is that we will make sure you have shelter and a roof over your head. We will make sure you have sustenance and food and the things that you need to keep your body healthy. And very much related on that, and not to a lesser degree at all, we will make sure that you're meaningfully engaged. And for you to be meaningfully engaged, it means we have to embrace that everybody has something to contribute, that everybody matters, that everybody has skills and abilities, and that everybody has dignity. And in the crime prevention office, we like to think that if that all seems too big, start small. Start with a little step. As you go throughout your day, as you see people who are different, think to yourself, wow, you know, that's actually enriching the place in which I live. This is not a bad thing at all, this is a positive thing. And then try and indicate it to them by smiling, looking them in the eye, saying, you know, I choose dignity, I choose your dignity because that helps me to choose my dignity. And people will know it in a second when you're authentic about that. And that can turn things around really very fast. The person I referred to at the beginning of my comments that I was in a counseling relationship with, finally after 2 months he looked at me out of the blue, looked me in the eye and said, can you help me get a job? And I just, it was an amazing moment, because I realized, like, wow, you know, it had taken him that long to trust me, to even look at me for a second, because of all of the experience that happened prior to him and I meeting, where his dignity had been questioned. So when we choose dignity, we choose each other, we choose a healthy community, we choose a safe community, and we choose a better future for all. So you know what, let's get on with it. And congratulations to extended family and everybody that's part of the I Choose Dignity movement.